Nothing valuable ever comes without a cost. If it's free, it's a trick. This simple truth is often overlooked in a world that constantly tempts us with easy wins and quick fixes. We live in an age where instant gratification is the norm, where ads promise happiness in a pill, success without effort, and friendship without commitment. But deep down, those promises are illusions. The reality is that anything truly worthwhile requires something from you. Whether it's time, energy, sacrifice, or discipline, the cost is always there, silently demanding your attention. When something appears to be free or too easy, it's rarely a gift. It's a trap set to pull you into complacency, to keep you stuck, or to exploit your trust. Think about the most important things in life: your health, your skills, your relationships, your character. None of these grow without investment. You don't get fit by sitting on the couch. You don't build trust by taking shortcuts. You don't develop resilience by avoiding challenges. Each of these things requires you to show up, to work hard, to sometimes fail, and to keep pushing. The price you pay is the effort you put in. The stronger the desire, the higher the price you must be willing to pay. And that's where many people get lost. They want the reward without the struggle. They want success but avoid sacrifice. They want connection but ignore accountability. This is also why the idea of free can be so dangerous. When someone offers you something without asking for anything in return, the natural instinct is to accept it gladly. But the truth is, nothing is truly free. If it seems free, look closer. What are they really after? Sometimes what's offered for free comes loaded with hidden costs, strings attached that bind you in ways you don't immediately see. It might be your time, your loyalty, your peace of mind, or your self-respect. People give freely without expecting anything are rare. But when the offer comes from those close to you, friends, family, people who claim to care, it demands even more scrutiny, because the cost might not be immediate, but over time, the toll on your emotional or mental well-being can be immense. This is where the concept of demons in your circle comes into play. These are the people who disguise their demands as love, their control as care, and their manipulation as support. They want to keep you dependent, tethered to their version of reality, and unable to break free. They will offer you free help or advice. But what they really want is a foothold in your life, a way to influence your choices or diminish your potential. And because you want to believe in their love or friendship, you rarely question the cost until it's too late. Understanding this principle shifts your entire approach to relationships and life in general. You start recognizing that every gain comes with a price tag. The question is, are you willing to pay the right price? Are you ready to invest the sweat, tears, and persistence needed to build something lasting? And more importantly, are you wise enough to spot when something free is actually a trap designed to rob you of your power? This wisdom is what separates those who rise from those who remain stuck. It's the difference between being controlled by circumstances and mastering your own fate. When you embrace the idea that nothing valuable is free, you become selective about where you invest your time and energy. You become alert to the hidden agendas behind seemingly generous offers. You start setting boundaries that protect your peace and your progress. This mindset trains you to see effort as a necessary and noble part of growth, not as a burden or punishment. At the same time, it prepares you to endure the hardships that come with real achievement, because the path to anything worthwhile is often rocky, filled with setbacks and demands that test your resolve. But those demands are the price of admission to a life of meaning and purpose. If you shy away from paying that price, you settle for superficial rewards that don't satisfy you, connections that drain instead of empower, and a life that feels hollow despite its apparent ease. So the next time you encounter something that promises to be free or easy, pause and question it. Ask yourself what the real cost is, even if it's not obvious. Is it your energy, your integrity, your dreams? And are you willing to pay that price? Because once you understand this, you start to see the world differently. You no longer fall for illusions or empty offers. You learn to value your time and effort as precious currency that deserves respect and wise investment. And with that perspective, you build a life where every achievement, every relationship, and every moment of joy is earned and therefore deeply treasured. True growth demands effort, sacrifice, and boundaries. It is a journey that challenges the very core of who we are, pushing us beyond comfort zones, forcing us to confront the realities we often try to avoid. Growth is not a passive process or something that simply happens to us while we wait. It requires deliberate action, consistent work, and a willingness to face discomfort head on. Without effort, you, there can be no progress. Without sacrifice, there can be no transformation. And without boundaries, there can be no protection of the very growth we seek to achieve. Effort is the engine of growth. It's the daily commitment to showing up and doing the work, even when motivation fades and distractions creep in. Growth demands that we push ourselves beyond what feels easy or natural. It means waking up early to prepare, putting in extra hours to improve, or practicing skills relentlessly when others might choose to rest. This effort is often invisible to the outside world view, but it's the foundation that supports every success. It's what turns dreams and intentions into reality. Without putting in effort, we remain stuck in the familiar patterns of the past, unable to break free from the limits we've unknowingly set for ourselves. Sacrifice is the currency we pay for growth. When we pursue anything meaningful, we must give up something in return. This might mean sacrificing leisure time to focus on learning or choosing discipline over indulgence. Sometimes it means saying no to people, habits, or even opportunities that no longer align with the path we're on. Sacrifice can be painful because it often involves loss of comfort, loss of certainty, or loss of approval from those around us. But it's precisely through these losses that we create space for new growth. Sacrifice clears the clutter and distractions that hold us back, allowing us to redirect our energy toward what truly matters. Growth doesn't happen in the middle of chaos or overindulgence. It requires the willingness to give up short-term pleasure for long-term gain. Boundaries are the invisible lines we draw to protect ourselves during the growth process. They are the framework that keeps our progress intact and shields us from influences that would derail our journey. Setting boundaries means learning to say no to toxic relationships, to unnecessary obligations, to habits that don't serve us. Boundaries are not walls to isolate us. Rather, they are gates that control what we let in and what we keep out. Without clear boundaries, your growth becomes vulnerable to sabotage. We might allow people to diminish our efforts or enable us to fall back into old patterns. Boundaries also teach others how to treat us and what we expect from ourselves. They are essential for maintaining focus and ensuring that the energy we invest in growth is not wasted or drained. Together, effort, sacrifice, and boundaries form the triad that supports true growth. They are interconnected and rely on each other to be effective. Effort without sacrifice can lead to burnout or distraction. Sacrifice without boundaries can lead to resentment or loss of self. Boundaries without effort may create isolation without progress. The balance between these three is what creates sustainable change. It's a constant negotiation that requires self-awareness and courage. Growth also demands patience. Effort, sacrifice, and boundaries don't produce instant results. They require time to build momentum and bring about lasting transformation. The journey is often filled with setbacks and moments of doubt. But those who understand the necessity of these elements keep moving forward despite obstacles. They embrace the discomfort as part of the process and recognize that every step, no matter how small, is progress. Ultimately, growth is a commitment to becoming the best version of yourself, regardless of the challenges that come with it. It's about choosing progress over comfort, purpose over ease, and long-term vision over immediate gratification. When you accept that true growth demands effort, sacrifice, and boundaries, you equip yourself with the mindset needed to navigate the hard but rewarding path ahead. Demons wear disguises, often wrapped in love and familiarity. This is one of the hardest truths to accept because it challenges the very foundation of how we perceive the people closest to us. When we think of demons, we imagine something dark, obvious, and hostile, something easy to spot and avoid. But the demons that infiltrate our lives most effectively don't come as monsters. They come as friends, family, and loved ones who smile in our faces. Speak words of kindness and cloak their intentions in the language of care. They are masters of disguise, camouflaging their true nature behind the masks of affection and belonging. This disguise is powerful because it plays on our deepest needs, the need to be loved, accepted, and connected. When someone close to us shows concern or offers help, our instinct is to trust and let down our guard. We want to believe that the people who have been part of our lives for years have our best interests at heart. But when demons wear these disguises, their care is conditional, manipulative, and ultimately harmful. They exploit our vulnerabilities, twisting love into control and familiarity into a chain that keeps us trapped. The danger lies in how subtle these disguises are. They don't always attack openly or aggressively. Instead, they infiltrate through small, Your almost imperceptible actions, snide remarks disguised as jokes, backhanded compliments that undermine confidence, or concern that masks criticism. Over time, these behaviors chip away at self-esteem and cloud judgment. The disguise makes it difficult to see the truth clearly because the person who wears it is someone we've trusted for years. Someone who knows our weaknesses and uses them against us. These disguised demons also use emotional manipulation to maintain their hold. They guilt trip, gaslight you, or play the victim to keep you questioning yourself and doubting your perceptions. They create confusion and chaos, making you wonder if you're overreacting or being too sensitive. This manipulation is a strategy to keep control under the guise of love, making it hard to break free or set boundaries without feeling disloyal or selfish. The emotional ties are tangled, and the disguise convinces you that the toxicity is normal or even deserved. Another way demons disguise themselves is by appearing supportive, but only when it benefits them. They may show up in times of crisis or need, offering help, only to remind you later of the favor or to ask for something in return. This transactional nature of their love means that their support is not genuine or unconditional. It's a tool to keep you indebted and compliant. Their familiarity becomes a weapon. You wield it to guilt you into silence or obedience. The familiar face of a demon can also come cloaked in nostalgia or shared history that remind you of the good times, the bond you once shared, or family obligations that make you feel trapped by loyalty. This use of the past to justify present toxicity is another layer of their disguise. It blurs the line between genuine love and manipulation, making it harder to walk away because you carry the weight of memories, traditions, and social expectations. Recognizing these demons requires clarity and courage. It means questioning the intentions behind familiar words and actions, even when they come from those we love. It means seeing past the disguise to the patterns of behavior that undermine, control you, or harm. It means understanding that love that diminishes you is not love at all, no matter how familiar or long-standing the relationship may be. But this awareness is crucial because demons in disguise can derail your growth, steal your peace, and cloud your sense of self. They keep you tied to old wounds and prevent you from stepping into your full potential. But once you begin to see through the disguise, you reclaim power. You learn to protect your energy and set boundaries that preserve your well-being. Demons wrapped in love and familiarity are the hardest to confront because they challenge everything you thought you knew about loyalty, trust, and family. They force you to redefine what love truly looks like and to recognize that sometimes the greatest act of love you can give yourself is to break free from those disguised chains. It is a painful and complex process, but one that is necessary for genuine healing and growth. Words mean nothing without consistent action to back them up. This is a fundamental truth that applies to every area of life, whether it's relationships, personal goals, or professional commitments. Words are easy to say. They flow from the tongue with little effort and even less consequence. Promises, compliments, declarations of love or loyalty, they all sound good in the moment, but without follow through. They become empty noise. The real measure of character and integrity lies not in what someone says, but in what they consistently do over time. People can say anything to make themselves look good, to manipulate a situation, or to avoid conflict. Words can be tools for persuasion, distraction, or even deception. When someone promises change, support, or loyalty but fails to act accordingly, those words become hollow. Over time, this disconnect between what is said and what is done erodes trust, breeds disappointment, and creates confusion. The more you rely on words alone, the more vulnerable you become to illusions and broken expectations. Consistent action, on the other hand, reveals true intention. It is the real proof of commitment and sincerity. When someone repeatedly shows up, follows through, and delivers on their promises, their words gain power and credibility. Their actions build a foundation of trust that strengthens relationships and creates momentum towards shared goals. This consistency is what separates talk from results. It is easy to make grand declarations in the heat of the moment, but it takes discipline, integrity, and perseverance to back those words with meaningful action day after day. In personal relationships, this principle is especially important. Saying, "I love you," "I'm here for you," or "I support you," carries weight only if those sentiments are backed by behavior. Being present when it matters, keeping promises, respecting boundaries, and showing care through deeds speak far louder than any verbal assurance. Without consistent action, words become empty gestures that eventually lose meaning. People start to doubt not just the specific promises, but the authenticity of the entire relationship. in pursuing personal growth or goals. This truth is equally critical. You can say you want to change to be healthier or to succeed, but if your daily actions don't reflect those intentions, progress will stall. Saying you're committed to improvement is meaningless unless you put in the work consistently, showing up for yourself even when motivation wanes, making sacrifices, and pushing through challenges. Action turns intention into reality. Without it, words are just wishes or excuses dressed up as plans. In leadership and professional settings, the gap between words and actions can be devastating. Leaders who talk about vision, values, or accountability but fail to embody those principles quickly lose respect and influence. Employees and teams watch not just what is said, but what is done. When actions contradict words, it creates cynicism and disengagement. Conversely, leaders who align their words with consistent, principled action inspire trust, loyalty, and high performance. This alignment is the cornerstone of effective leadership. The power of consistent action also lies in its cumulative effect. Small actions repeated over time create habits, build momentum, and generate results that words alone cannot achieve. A single promise or declaration can inspire, but it's the daily follow through that transforms inspiration into tangible outcomes. Whether it's maintaining discipline and training, nurturing relationships with small acts of kindness, or demonstrating integrity in decision-making, these consistent actions create a reality that words can only describe but never replace. Recognizing the gap between words and actions also sharpens your ability to judge character and intentions, your own and others. It teaches you to look beyond promises and rhetoric and to evaluate the real impact of behavior. It encourages accountability and self-reflection, pushing you to ensure your own words are matched by your deeds. This alignment is essential for building credibility and respect in every aspect of life. Ultimately, words without consistent action are like seeds planted on rocky soil. They may promise growth but will fail to take root. Only through steady, reliable action do words find their true power and purpose. This understanding shifts your focus from empty talk to meaningful deeds, from superficial promises to deep commitment, and from fleeting intentions to lasting change. It is a principle that protects you from disappointment and empowers you to build a life of integrity and trust. Emotional manipulation and guilt trips are red flags that signal unhealthy dynamics in relationships. They are tools often wielded by those who seek control rather than connection, by people who prioritize their own needs and insecurities over genuine respect and mutual care. Recognizing these behaviors is crucial because they erode trust, distort reality, and drain your emotional energy. Emotional manipulation doesn't announce itself with a loud warning. It creeps in subtly, weaving confusion and doubt until you question your own feelings, decisions, and worth. At its core, emotional manipulation is about exploiting your vulnerabilities to influence your behavior. Manipulators use your compassion, empathy, and desire for harmony against you, bending situations to their advantage while leaving you feeling responsible for their happiness or pain. They might twist facts, withhold information, or exaggerate problems to make you feel guilty or anxious. Their goal is to make you act in ways that serve them, whether that means sacrificing your needs, abandoning your boundaries, or staying silent when you want to speak up. This form of control is dangerous because it operates under the surface of care, making it hard to spot and even harder to resist. Guilt trips are one of the most common tactics in emotional manipulation. When someone uses guilt to influence you, they make you feel as if you are the source of their suffering or disappointment. They frame their feelings or reactions in a way that implies you are failing them, forcing you to carry the burden of their emotions. This is not true accountability or honest communication. It is a calculated strategy to pressure you into compliance or submission. The weight of unjust guilt can be overwhelming, causing you to question your actions, second-guess your instincts, and prioritize their needs over your own well-being. One of the reasons emotional manipulation and guilt trips are so damaging is because they distort boundaries. Healthy relationships require clear lines, boundaries that protect your time, energy, and emotional health. Manipulators push against those boundaries, testing how much you will tolerate and where you will bend. Over time, the line between your needs and theirs becomes blurred. And you find yourself trapped in a cycle of pleasing and apologizing, often at the expense of your own identity and happiness. This erosion of boundaries can lead to resentment, exhaustion, and a loss of self-respect. It's important to recognize the signs of emotional manipulation early. If you notice that interactions with certain people consistently leave you feeling drained, confused, or guilty without cause, that is a warning sign. If apologies come with strings attached, or if your attempts to assert yourself are met with anger or withdrawal, these are indications that manipulation is at play. Healthy relationships do not rely on guilt or emotional pressure. They are built on trust, respect, and open communication. Another key aspect to understand is that emotional manipulators rarely admit their behavior or take responsibility for the harm they cause. Instead, they may turn the tables and accuse you of being overly sensitive, selfish, or ungrateful. This gaslighting tactic deepens the confusion and self-doubt, making it harder for you to trust your own judgment. Breaking free from this dynamic requires clarity and courage, as well as the willingness to prioritize your emotional health above the approval or demands of others. Learning to set firm boundaries is essential in combating emotional manipulation and guilt trips. Saying no when something doesn't feel right, refusing to accept blame unfairly, and maintaining distance from toxic influences are acts of self-preservation. Your boundaries send a clear message that your feelings and needs matter, and that you will not tolerate manipulation disguised as love or concern. It's a process that often requires practice and support, especially when the manipulator is someone close like family or a longtime friend. Ultimately, recognizing emotional manipulation and guilt trips as red flags empowers you to protect yourself and foster healthier connections. It allows you to reclaim control over your emotions and choices. Building relationships based on mutual respect and genuine care rather than fear, obligation, or coercion. The path away from manipulation may be challenging, but it is necessary for your peace, growth, and freedom. Real friends hold you accountable. Demons enable your excuses. This distinction is critical when it comes to understanding the true nature of the people who surround you and the impact they have on your life. Accountability is one of the hardest things to receive because it requires honesty, confrontation, and sometimes discomfort. But it is also one of the most valuable gifts a true friend can offer you. Real friends care enough about your growth and well-being to challenge you when you fall short, to push you beyond your limits, and to hold you to a standard that aligns with your potential. They don't settle for convenient truths or comforting lies. Instead, they invest in your betterment even when it's uncomfortable for both of you. On the other hand, demons, whether they are people or the negative voices inside your own mind, enable your excuses because they thrive on stagnation. They prefer you to stay in your comfort zone, to avoid the hard work of change and to accept mediocrity as your norm. These demons whisper rationalizations that justify why you can't take action, why now is not the right time, or why you simply don't deserve success. They don't push you to grow. They encourage you to stay stuck, to avoid responsibility, and to blame circumstances or others for your lack of progress. Their support is a mask for complacency and defeat. True friends see your potential even when you can't. They remind you of your capabilities and encourage you to live up to them. This kind of accountability isn't about judgment or criticism for its own sake. It's rooted in care and belief. When a real friend holds you accountable, they are helping you stay aligned with your goals and values. They call you out when you make excuses because they know those excuses will hold you back. They push you to own your mistakes and learn from them rather than hiding behind blame or denial. This kind of friendship requires courage and vulnerability on both sides. It's a two-way street where honesty is prioritized over comfort. In contrast, demons celebrate your excuses because excuses keep you powerless. When you rely on excuses, you give away your agency and allow external factors to dictate your life. Demons reinforce these excuses by echoing your fears and insecurities, making them seem legitimate. They keep you distracted with blame, denial, and avoidance, all of which prevent you from taking the necessary steps to improve. Enabling excuses is a form of emotional sabotage. It looks like support on the surface, but ultimately works against your growth and happiness. This dynamic can be particularly toxic because it often masquerades as kindness or understanding. Demons that enable your excuses might tell you things like, "Oh, it's okay. You've been through a lot," or "maybe this isn't the right time for you." While these statements might sound comforting, they subtly discourage action and reinforce self-limiting beliefs. You. The problem is not with empathy, but with the lack of challenge that true friendship demands. Without accountability, empathy can become an excuse to avoid growth and change. You. Accountability from real friends also builds resilience. When you are held to high standards and challenged to face uncomfortable truths, you develop strength and confidence with you. You learn to push through setbacks and disappointments because you know you have people in your corner who expect the best from you. This support system doesn't coddle failure, but helps you use it as fuel for progress. It creates an environment where growth is possible because you're not alone. You have allies who believe in your ability to rise above excuses and limitations. Demons, however, keep you isolated and stuck in patterns of avoidance. They prefer you to believe that change is too hard, that you are too flawed, or that you don't deserve better. This mindset is toxic because it prevents you from taking ownership of your life and striving for improvement. When excuses become your shield, demons have won. They rob you of your potential by convincing you to settle for less than you are capable of achieving. Understanding the difference between real friends who hold you accountable and demons who enable your excuses empowers you to make better choices about who you let into your life and whose voices you listen to. It encourages you to seek relationships that challenge and uplift you rather than those that soothe and enable stagnation. It also calls you to become that kind of friend for yourself, one who refuses to accept excuses and pushes relentlessly toward growth and achievement. This awareness transforms your mindset and your environment, setting the stage for real progress and fulfillment. Demons thrive on your self-doubt and insecurities. These inner struggles are the fertile ground where negative forces, whether internal voices, toxic relationships, or external influences, take root and grow stronger. Your self-doubt and insecurity act like cracks in the foundation of your confidence, leaving you vulnerable to being manipulated, controlled, or held back. When you question your worth, your abilities, or your decisions, you open the door for demons to whisper lies that reinforce those fears and keep you trapped in a cycle of hesitation and limitation. Self-doubt is the internal voice that tells you you're not good enough, not capable, or not deserving of success and happiness. It chips away at your motivation and clouds your judgment. Instead of trusting your instincts or taking decisive action, you second-guess yourself at every turn. This internal paralysis creates an opening for demons to step in and fill the void with negativity and fear. They amplify your insecurities, turning small uncertainties into overwhelming obstacles that seem impossible to overcome. The more you listen to these voices, the louder and more convincing they become. Insecurity often stems from past experiences, failures, rejections, or trauma that shape the way you see yourself in the world. These wounds leave scars that demons exploit. They remind you of your mistakes, magnify your perceived flaws, and make you feel isolated and alone. Insecurity convinces you that you are fundamentally flawed or unworthy, which in turn fuels feelings of shame and self-loathing. This toxic feedback loop reinforces the grip demons have on your mind and emotions, making it difficult to break free or believe in your potential. Demons use these vulnerabilities strategically. They don't attack outright. Instead, they plant seeds of doubt disguised as caution or realism. They make you question your decisions, your relationships, you and your dreams. They highlight every possible reason to stay stuck or settle for less. This subtle manipulation is powerful because it feels like an internal struggle rather than an external threat. You start to see the barriers as part of who you are rather than obstacles to overcome. This internalization of doubt keeps you locked in a mental prison where fear dictates your actions or inactions. The impact of demons feeding on self-doubt and insecurity goes beyond just mindset. It affects behavior and outcomes. When you doubt yourself, you hesitate to take risks, avoid challenges, and resist change. You might procrastinate, sabotage your own efforts, or settle for comfort zones that limit growth. These behaviors become patterns that reinforce the very insecurities you want to escape. Demons thrive in this environment of stagnation because every missed opportunity and every avoided challenge confirms their narrative that you cannot succeed or improve. Breaking this cycle requires awareness and intentional effort. The first step is recognizing when self-doubt and insecurity are controlling your thoughts and choices. This awareness shines a light on the demon's tactics, exposing the lies and exaggerations that fuel fear. Once you identify these negative patterns, you can start challenging them with truth and evidence from your life, reminding yourself of past successes, strengths, and the progress you've made despite setbacks. You building self-confidence is a gradual process that pushes back against the influence of demons. It involves taking consistent actions, no matter how small, that reinforce your belief in your abilities. Every step forward weakens the grip of doubt. Surrounding yourself with positive influences and real support also helps because it counters the negative messages demons spread. Encouragement, accountability, and honest feedback from trusted people can remind you that you are not alone and that your worth is not defined by your fears. It's also important to understand that insecurity is a natural part of growth. Everyone experiences moments of doubt. It doesn't mean you are weak or broken. The difference lies in how you respond. When you allow demons to amplify your insecurities unchecked, they control your story. But when you acknowledge those feelings without surrendering to them, you reclaim your power. This mindset shift changes your relationship with fear from one of avoidance to one of resilience. Demons thrive on self-doubt and insecurity because these feelings isolate you, diminish your courage, and erode your sense of self. They keep you trapped in cycles of fear and hesitation, preventing you from reaching your full potential. Recognizing this dynamic is the first step toward breaking free and building a life grounded in confidence, clarity, and purpose.